Hey, I'm CDiinky. Alrighty guys, in today's video we'll be going over the best way to prepare yourselves for New Game Plus. We'll be going over the best weapons, armor, natural resources, and smoothies, and mutations, and everything else in between to get before going into New Game Plus. Because if you did not know, once you activate the New Game Plus, you're not going to be able to get back ever again. So once you're stuck on the harder difficulties, it is pretty much over. So make sure you watch this video fully to make sure you are fully prepared before going into New Game Plus. So first off, I would highly recommend you have at least one of every single mutation, because mutations are going to be harder and harder to get to unlock, especially in high New Game Pluses, especially if you're going to use Smash, which is hammers. As you can see, I only have phase 1, Little Fist, I only have phase 1, and upgrading these bad boys in New Game Plus 10 is going to take it's pretty much impossible to upgrade my Little Fist now, because the bugs have too much HP and fists do like little damage. So I would definitely recommend going ahead, maxing out your chopper, maxing out your assassin, maxing out sharpshooter, as well as blade master. These are the 3 or 4 best mutations inside of the entire game, as well as making sure you have as much trapper peeper as possible. If you don't know how to get trapper peeper, you pretty much need to go ahead and get gold cards from the backyard. I would recommend having at least Trapper Peeper phase 1, because this will give you a 20% increased critical hit damage boost, and a New Game Plus having high damage is all you need. But just to sum it all up, just make sure you have every single mutation unlocked before you get into New Game Plus. Now, one major thing I would definitely recommend for everyone before they get into New Game Plus is making the boss mounts. This is the Wasp Queen, Broodmother, Infected Broodmother, and the Orchid Mantis mounts. As if you do not know, if you mark them, they give you a 10% extra bonus when versing these bosses, and you need to kill the Mantis, the Hedge Broodmother, and the Wasp Queen every single time in New Game Plus to advance to the next New Game Plus, and having extra damage is always the best thing to do. So make sure you have the boss mounts before you get to New Game Plus, because the normal game is a lot easier than New Game Plus, let me tell you. And on the topic of the bosses, make sure you go ahead and you stock up at least 1 to 2 boss summons before you go into New Game Plus, because New Game Plus is going to be more difficult. It's going to get hard to get these boss parts and to make these items, so make sure you have at least 2 just in case you accidentally run out of them. And who knows what happens if you're trying to fight the Infected Broodmother and you can't. You're going to need to go ahead and kill the Hedge Broodmother, the Orchid Mantis, as well as the Wasp Queen, just to kill the Infected Broodmother, and that is going to be a task within itself. So make sure you stock up on boss summonable items. Another thing you should go ahead and stock up on is candies. Yes, I know in this chest I don't have a bunch of candies right now. That's because I've already made all the new weapons. Make sure you stock up and at least have maybe a few stacks of each candy, as this 1 will save you a bunch of time, and 2, you're going to be able to get the new weapons almost straight away inside of New Game Plus. And these new weapons can be the Sour Katanga, the Fresh Edge, the Blazing Edge, Pepper Flake, Frosted Flake, Salt Chipper, and a bunch of other weapons. Just make sure you have the ingredients needed, of course, so you're going to need to go ahead and get a bunch of candies. And also, on the topic of candies and then weapons, also make sure you farm up almost every single resource in the entire game, because if you do not, you won't be able to get these resources ever again. So for example, if you miss out on like 15 Supreme Quartzite like upgrade rocks for some reason, and you go to New Game Plus, you won't be able to ever get those 15 upgrade rocks ever again. So make sure you go ahead and get your upgrade materials before you go into New Game Plus. And I'm getting raided by wasps. Fantastic. As we were saying, make sure to go ahead and get a bunch of boss summonables, make sure to farm up a bunch of candy, make sure to farm up a bunch of upgrade rocks to get these new weapons, which is going to help you in New Game Plus. Before you get into New Game Plus, I would definitely recommend having at least Perfect Toast. You get Perfect Toast in the remixer room. You do not need to go into New Game Plus for this. You get 2 per New Game Plus game through, or per world. Now these can be duplicated for 4,500 raw signs. Perfect Toast is insane. It increases your crit chance and critical hit damage. It's the best meal in the entire game. If you have raw signs, definitely pick them up and duplicate them. It is going to save you a bunch of time in boss fights and just fighting bugs normally. And as well as at least having 1 sticky boss sauce, human food, and liquid rage, and duplicate as many as you can, as these are the 3 core meals, or smoothies I should say, that you're going to need when fighting bosses in any bug in the backyard. As once again, the bugs are going to hit tougher and they're going to hit harder, and you're going to need as much power as you can to take on these guys as quickly as you can. Another thing I would also highly recommend is in the bottom right corner of my screen, you see a number 5 next to the name. That means I have level 5 coziness. Get your base to level 5 coziness. What are you doing? Getting level 5 coziness gives you the petal bed, and when you sleep in the petal bed, it is going to give you comfy defense for the entire day, which I think reduces your damage from enemies by 10%, which is just fantastic for having that just for sleeping in a bed. So make sure to get to coziness level 5 to get this bonus. And if you do not know how to get to coziness level 5, all you need to do is just build a bunch of coziness stuff, preferably a bunch of the boss items like the stuffed wasp queen, a bunch of the other stuff like the pupa leather couch. Just make sure you build a bunch of these items. As you can see, this Brumella chandelier gives me max coziness. The rocking chair as well gives me a bunch of coziness. For some reason, the infected Brumella stuff don't, but just make sure you get as much coziness as you can to level 5, because then you're going to get the comfy defense, which once again is going to help you a lot, especially in New Game Plus. Now, one other thing I would highly recommend for every player to do inside of Grounded, especially if they want to go further and further into New Game Pluses, is to please make sure you max out your HP, your stamina, and your healing. Hunger and Thirst Drain isn't really needed, especially in high New Game Pluses. As you can see, it's like 1.8% chance, but please make sure you max out your healing, your stamina, and your max health, because this is going to save you a bunch, and it's going to make the yard a whole lot easier for you. And I would know, as I am in New Game 10, and I've skipped out on a bunch of moles, and it's made my life so much harder because I was just too lazy and I didn't want to spend the time collecting some extra molars. And if you did not know, if you do not collect the previous molars, you won't be able to get them ever again. So make sure, collect your milk molars, people. So now, what are some weapons and armor we should have before we get into New Game Plus? I would highly recommend maxing these bad boys out, of course. Level 9 Acid Edge. This is just one of the best weapons inside of Grounded in normal mode. New Game Plus, there are a lot better weapons than the Acid Edge, funny enough. But make sure you have the Acid Edge at least level 9. If you do not know how to collect or get this Acid Edge, you're going to need to go over to the Moldorc Highlands inside of the Castle Moldorc and take on Director Schmechter. And after you kill him, you'll get the recipe. And also, I would highly recommend, do not get confused about this being infused, but make sure you have a salty level 9 Club of the Melon Demon, because this weapon is just insane, especially when you verse the Orchid Mantis and the Wasp Queen. This just shreds them. Trust me, you're going to be rocking this weapon all the way up to New Game Plus 4 until you get the infused club. And this thing, salt damage up best, implant salt, just takes and shreds bosses so quickly. Now, the armor set I would highly recommend you guys getting before you get into New Game Plus is the all-round best armor set, in my opinion, inside of Grounded. It is 1 piece Fire Ant, 1 piece Melon Demon, and 1 piece Assassin Greaves. If you want high defense and the maximum defense with the same armor set and same properties, go Fire Ant Helmet, Chest of the Melon Demon, and Assassin Greaves. If you want a bit of style, go ahead and get the Mask of the Melon Demon. But the Mask of the Melon Demon, make sure you chuck that down sleek. The Fire Ant Arm Guards, make sure you chuck this down bulky. The sleek bonus does not work on a single piece. If you're rocking the entire Fire Ant set, the acid damage only works with the set bonus, so beware of that. Make sure, if you're using this as a single armor piece, make it go down bulky. And with the Assassin Greaves, it's personal preference. Sleek gives you crit stun, so after every single crit you deal, you're going to deal stun damage as well. Me personally, it really doesn't matter. Sleek or bulky, it is whatever. And now finally, the final thing I would highly recommend you guys get before going into New Game Plus is having a stuffed Black Ox Beetle and a Black Ox Beetle mount. As if you do not know, if you rub a stuffed mount, it is going to go ahead and give you loot luck, which is going to increase the rare drop rates that these creatures give. And in New Game Plus, Black Ox Beetles are the only creatures besides the infected Brumella, to my knowledge, that drop cones. If you do not know, cones are the tier 3 randomized trinkets, which can give you 3 random buffs, and having more buffs is better, and the cones are the best, of course. So going ahead and marking the Black Ox Beetle mount, getting yourself Dissection Expert, which increases your loot luck as well, and killing Black Ox Beetles is going to be the easiest way to go ahead and get Science Cones, which is going to be the best way to get yourself trinkets. And the reason I say to go ahead and get the Black Ox Beetle mounts and kill them and farm them for the cones, as the cones pretty much are the normal game trinkets just combined together. So this one Science Cone here can have the properties of having the Giddy Goop trinket, the Spicy Shard trinket, and the Mint trinket all together on one. So instead of switching between all 3 of these, you can just get a Science Cone and chuck it on, and bang, all 3 of these trinkets are now on just a singular trinket. So you can go ahead and get your spicy damage, your mint damage, and your finale goo damage up, which is going to help you a bunch, especially in early New Game Pluses. Because New Game Plus is a bit grindy, and if you want to get into high New Game Pluses and kill bosses, you pretty much are going to need to have the best gear in the entire game, and the gear I'm talking about is the best RNG on your weapons and the best RNG on your trinkets. And now lastly, the final tip I would recommend before getting into New Game Plus is, of course, I do not have the amount of raw science, but make sure you have at least 100,000 raw science, because if you did not know, in New Game Plus you get access to the Yoking Station, and in Burgle Shop this costs 50,000 raw science, and the new weapons you get in Burgle Shop as well, such as the Saokatanga Fresh Edge and the Blazing Edge and etc., are 25,000 raw science. So having 100k raw science gives you the yoking station and 2 weapons such as the Frosted Flake and the, I don't know, the Sour Katanga or something like that. Just make sure you have at least 100,000 raw science. It's going to make your life so much easier. Do not go into New Game Plus with having just 3,000 measly raw science. Trust me. So there is going to be the end of today's video, guys. If you guys did enjoy today's video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe and even a comment down below if this video helped you at all. And with all that said, guys, I will catch you guys in the next video.